One of them who could not make it to the top 5 or top 6 is once press secretary of former President John Agyepong Kufuor. He was general secretary of the New Patriotic Party, the Honorable Kwabena Agyepong. He's joined us on the line. You're welcome to Eyewitness News, sir.
Thank you very much, Sander.
Things didn't go as planned. Have you done a postmortem? What happened?
Well, yes, it is exactly true as you said. I was expecting to be in the top 5. All the polls were suggesting I was going to be 4. But at the end of the day, it's when the ballots are counted that you can say the people have really decided. And we went into this election with a vision to lead our country, and that's as one of the 10 aspirants. We knew this was the first day to shortlist 5 for the main election in November. I was very confident, worked very hard. So I don't like normally to ascribe reasons to results. At the end of the day, we had a very well-run election. The Elections Committee of the party and the Electoral Commission conducted it very well. Everywhere the reports I got from my agents, it was a simple walk-in process. Identify yourselves, you vote. And so I think that the electorate involved voted the way that they wish to vote. So once they've been able to express their wishes and the vote has been cast, unfortunately I could not make the cut. But that's what it is. I am an eternal Democrat. You accept these things as they happen. Before you go into an election, you have to prepare yourself emotionally. And you have to be strong, mental strength, and then also have what we call emotional intelligence. You've got to be able to prepare yourself for either outcomes, because there's no middle way. It's either you are a part of it or you are not a part of it. Unfortunately, as you rightly said, I didn't garner enough votes to be in the first 5. So that's what it is.
You didn't garner enough votes to be in the first 5, and the votes you garnered, I don't even know if I should call them votes, and forgive me, I've not contested elections at a national scale before, but were you at any point, did you at any point think you were going to get votes that were going to be so few that you can actually count them with your eyes closed?
Well, it happens quite a bit in politics in MPP, in elections in MPP. Normally, the top 2 get most of the votes, and then the rest of us would have the little numbers, as they may call it. At the end of the day, I believe the competition afforded me the opportunity to get logged in again with the party base, to interact with them, provided me the opportunity to get into the 16 regional capitals, have what I call dialogue and town hall meetings after opening remarks, to share my vision, which was to let them know that where we are as a country, it is time for us to usher in a new dawn of politics on the political landscape in this country. We need to re-engineer our understanding of governance, our understanding of party politics, and essentially we have to be anchored by what I call the triple S: service, sacrifice, and selflessness. So I think I was happy to be able to have that discussion with them, that we need to change track as a country, introduce a lot of austerity in what we do, reduce the size of government, cut down on spending, and also live within our means. I do believe that my message resonated positively across board. All the reviews I've heard from academics, from social media, from CSOs, and many stakeholders in the country, I appreciate that perhaps my message was considered the best, but it did not translate into votes. So that's something that for the researchers to find out why it happened that way.
It's interesting because
my role as
Go ahead.
a politician is just to accept the result and move on. I am a party person. I'm very motivated by service to this political transition. I've given my youth, my entire youth from the time of 1992 till now, to serve this political tradition. And I respect the decision of the party, and that's what it is. Right now, we're just looking on for the general electorate of 200,000 voters to elect the leader. And once they do so, once someone emerges, my duty is to serve my party. I hope that whoever emerges will take quite a bit of what I've put out as my 6-point plan to rescue the country Ghana. So I'll be very glad. I mean, right now, I'll be very glad if the one who comes out as winner identifies with some of the ideals that I stand for, the virtues and the principles that anchor this political tradition, and that has ensured our sustenance for the last 63 or so years of this country's independence. So I am very at peace with myself. It was good to have contested. I've had the opportunity to have these many interviews around the country. My only disappointment was that the press did not push for a debate, a public nationwide debate of the 10 aspirants, because I do believe that Ghanaians deserve to know what our plans are, and that it should have been tested us on our priorities, our differences, and, our ways of solving the economic problems, the social problems, and the political problems we face as a country. But it doesn't matter. We have arrived at this first stage, and unfortunately, I could not make the cut. I will still be a strong advocate for a new politician in Ghana, for people to recognize that we go into politics to serve. We go out there, and then we should care for one another, one for all for one, to have a broad view of how things should work in our country and look for the collective welfare of society, and especially those underprivileged in society. That is why we run for office, and people running for office should be public-spirited, have the empathy to feel for those who do not have. And it's not about self-aggrandizement, it's not about government perks or enjoying and showing that off. It's about service to the needy. It's about service to the people. So I'll continue to be an advocate for that. And I will not stop my advocacy for Ghana. And I do believe that we should always place Ghana first above anything else. Because political parties are vehicles for development. They are not an end in themselves. So this obsession with just taking power and you and your party taking over the spoils of war, I don't think that's the direction we should go as a country. And therefore, there's a time for us now to reinvent ourselves, to recalibrate our values, to restore us to what put us together as a cohesive national country. Doesn't matter where we come from, but to identify our Ghanaianness and be patriotic. That is what drives me. So I'm at peace with myself. The delegates have selected the top 5. I wish them well. I'll be looking on from the outside, but I've been talking to all of them. I've spoken to Alan Shemate, I've spoken to Kwabena Agyepong. I called Dr. Bawumia yesterday morning to congratulate him on his first round victory. And I'll be speaking to people who share my views. And if our views coincide, and at least a good percentage of it, my 6-point plan, then I'm likely to gyrate towards that kind of person. But at the end of the day, whoever the party elects, I am duty-bound to support the party's candidate so that we can give ourselves an enhanced opportunity to win that elusive third electoral victory.
I see. These NPP delegates a few years ago voted for you to be General Secretary, to remove a sitting General Secretary at the time. What has changed? Is it the case that the game has changed, or Kwabena Agyepong has become maybe too old for the game, and possibly, he's no more his time, you are out of the game?
I think you should understand that having been sidelined or out of the front line for close to 8 years, that's a pretty long time, even from 2015 to 2023. And there are a lot of people who are now voters who were kids. So it's quite a bit of time. And so therefore, for me to come out and be able to make the kind of impression I've been able to make on the national consciousness, I think it's, in my own view, I think I've won a moral victory. It's given me the opportunity especially to dispel a lot of doubts on the minds of certain people. But I knew I was running from behind, and I think I've made a point. Those difficult discussions that Ghanaians normally shy away from, and I think we need to create a new culture of politicians. Even if you belong to a political party and there are things happening that you are not happy with, you should have the courage to come out and speak about it with good intentions, with good motives. That for me is I know I've made a few comments about what is happening to the economy, and some of our party people have been uncomfortable with it, but it was out of good intentions for us to restore our economy back to health. That is what should be the concern of all genuine patrons like myself. So I have no regrets at all, and I think I have a major role to play in this political tradition going forward. Even when I was still on suspension, the president found it worthy to invite me to lead his campaign in the re-election in 2020. So people recognize the skills that I bring to the table. So they know that I've worked for this party with all the leaders from Dubois Henne's time in those difficult days when it was life-risking to be identified with the NPP. I, as a young man, was prepared to sacrifice my development as a professional engineer just to be able to serve my political party. Served President Kufuor for close to 6 years as his press secretary, and he rewarded me with an Order of Volta officer category in 2008. So I've given my bit to this country, and I'll continue to do that. I want to inspire the youth. I want the political environment to be populated by well-intentioned, public-spirited Ghanaians. So the noise levels will go down, the acerbic tongues will go down, as they say, the babies with sharp teeth will disappear, and we'll have a sanitized political environment. We are the ones who should be encouraging people. We should be inspiring the younger generation to aspire to become politicians like ourselves. By the way we conduct ourselves, the civility, the decorum, the respect that we have for one another. And I worry sometimes the political atmosphere is being dominated by people who don't have respect for the virtues and the values of this political tradition. So I'll continue my advocacy. And I'm a former general secretary of the party, so I have a role to play to fashion how this country should move. And I think it is time for us to draw a line in the sand as Ghanaians and evaluate our understanding of service to the country and service to the public. It is very important. That should anchor, and that should be the motivating factor for all young politicians. And we should hold government's feet to the fire to make sure that whatever decisions they take, how they run the government, they do not take the mandate that people have bestowed in them for granted. And even if it's my government that is in power or my party that is in power, it is my sacred duty to make sure that they do the right thing for the development of our country.
These comments you make are interpreted by some to be anti-party. They say that Kwabena Agyepong feels is bigger than the New Patriotic Party. In fact, he is not involved. He is not a team player. When he was General Secretary, accusations or allegations, he refused to hang Akufo-Addo's, what's the word, frame in his office and all of those things. When it came to selling forms, he would not give forms to people to run. Do you think these things came back to bite you, or they are not true?
That is never true. I mean, in fact, this opportunity that I had to go around the country has exposed those who orchestrated my illegal and unjustifiable removal. And the party people know that they have suffered for it. You understand? So in this country, when you are firm, you are tough, and you speak your mind, sometimes you are misunderstood. You are said to be arrogant and uncooperative. But I am a stickler for discipline, and I want to do what is right by my conscience and for the good people of Ghana and for my party. I was the General Secretary that enabled all the 275 constituencies to have bank accounts, because I felt that when you want to put through resources that they require to work, it has to go directly to the base, because I believe all politics is local. And that happened. And since then, they've seen the advantage that it brought. You understand? So I am straightforward. There are people who were comfortable with me because I'm frank, I'm honest. I'm the kind of person, what I say is what I mean, no tricks, no frills, and I'm less liable to be manipulated. And I think all presidents and all leaders need straight-talking, honest people around them to look them in the eye sometimes when they are going off the track and, admonish them. It's very important. Checks and balances in government. That is the role of political parties. The fact that your party is in power does not equate the party to the government. The party's role is to make sure that the government does what is right by the people of Ghana. And that's how come every president in this Fourth Republic has respected the convention that a party's general secretary and the chairman, they sit in cabinet. It's not in any constitution, it's not in any law, but they do recognize that it is the party that gives best to the government. So that has been my view. I think that our party, characterized from the beginning, the likes of B.J. Zarocha, Peter Alajete, Alaji Bin Saleh, tough debates, and sometimes they just chose to respectfully disagree with one another. But it was healthy for the development of our country and our party. That's what I want to see. We should stop creating cult figures in Ghanaian politics. It does not work for us. You can ask the CPP what has happened to them, because all their organization was centered around one person, Dr. Nkrumah, and since his demise, they haven't been able to stand the test of time. That is not what we stand for as NPP.
Very well.
So, yeah.
You keep using the phrase new politician. You talk about speaking your mind, even if it has to hurt your party. I believe that sounds like a maverick. In fact, looking at the field, the one who has been considered a maverick amongst the lot would be your namesake Agyepong, and I mean the other Agyepong, Kennedy. He came second. Would he be the new politician you're talking about? Or when you say new politician, you're referring to a different type of new politician?
I'm talking about all of us Ghanaians, because I mentioned politicians, because they get the mandate of the people to run the country. But every one of us, you the journalists especially, you are referred to as the fourth estate of the realm. You've got to assess the role that you play. Some have become mercenary. Just they are there, on the take and doing people's bidding. Is that what you're supposed to do? No. Whether you're a doctor, whether you're an engineer in the ministry, you don't have to set yourself up with a company and award contracts to yourself. And things are happening that way around the country. Whether you are a farmer, whichever role that you play in this country, you should recognize that you have a contribution to make to the development of our country. Look around the world. Our peers like Malaysia and Singapore and the Asian tigers, and even in Japan after the World War, when they were brought to their knees, it took the dedication, the sacrifice of the leaders. It wasn't about themselves. It was about society, how we build society. So we need a critical mass of public-spirited individuals at the helm of affairs in our country. And I'm going to continue to be that voice of the conscience of our country, to push more people to understand that public service is exactly what it is, service to the public. You understand? So it is not about attacking. No, it's not attacking. It's setting the record straight, behaving properly, having civility and decorum. Politics is not all about razzmatazz, okay? And it's also not a popularity contest. And it is not a shouting match. You understand? So I want decency so that people, what we need now, deep thinking leaders with intellectual capacity to bring something to bear. And we need to attract the best human resource in our country into politics. Right now, what we are trying to do, people talk about politics as if it's an area that you can speak all the lies you like, spew all the garbage, just because it is politics. They will say it was on a political platform. I disagree with that notion and that standpoint. I think politics should be decent. Like Lee Kuan Yew said, we should attract the best human resource in our country into politics so that they can manage our affairs for us. It is politics that takes all the major decisions for the rest of the country. It's the welfare of the 31 million people. And decisions decide whether we live or die. You understand? So it's a very serious matter. I don't want politics to be trivialized the way sometimes on air people just trivialize politics. We all respect a little bit of humor, have a laugh here and there. But the lives of Ghanaians, very important. and we have to attach a lot of seriousness to politics. So the kind of pedestrian discussions that I hear, all over the place. And I think the media has a big role to get the society back on track and talk about the things that matter to society. Look, right now, it's not only political problems that we have. We have serious social issues that we don't even discuss. These days, we don't even discuss family planning anymore. You understand? But when there's a population explosion, it brings untold hardships on central government's treasury and then suffering. And so you look at our human settlements, and of course, coming from a technical background as a civil engineer, look at how Ghanaians live and the lack of compliance with rules and regulations and the spatial planning and all that. It's chaotic assembly of things happening. And so the human settlements have not been regulated properly. All these things need serious change. So if you look at my 6-point plan, I talked about urban regeneration and rural development. I talked about compliance, quality control, quality assurance in all aspects of our national life. So we have a lot of work to do as Ghanaians. And we need our leaders to be focused. We need the media to be focused, right, asking the right questions, and then having the difficult conversations that people are shying away from, and putting pressure on those of us who aspire to lead by example for the rest of our country.
So let me just, by concluding, ask you the right question, which would inquire or require you to give a difficult answer. If it came to it, out of the 6 who are at the top now, your 6 voters came to you and said, "Daddy, show us the way." Who would you back? Who would you ask them to vote for?
See, you know that votes are supposed to be secret. That's why we voted.
But you can encourage them to vote for one of the 6 that you believe.
I gave you an inkling.
I got it, but I just wanted a name.
I gave you an inkling.
I wanted a name.
There's no point just throwing out a name.
So you're not throwing support against it behind any of them?
I want to share, I eventually will direct towards has to be someone who is on the same wavelength with me, not in entirety, but who looks at my 6-point plan and says, 3 or 4 of it, I think I share this similar view. So discussions are ongoing. I mean, for now, I'm out, so I stay out and look inside from outside. But I know all the top 3. As I said, I've spoken to Dr. Bawumia, I've spoken to Alan Chemating, I've spoken to Kwabena Agyepong.
Would you support Dr. Bawumia?
Well, I say I've spoken to all 3 of them.
I know. I just want to know if
I know all of them. What is important is I have a policy platform. There are things that I believe in, and I just hope that the eventual winner who emerges will identify with some of these things that, in my honest view, will inure to the benefit of Ghana.
Very well. Let's leave it here. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much, Umaru Sanda, and have a nice day, and greetings to all your listeners countrywide.
You too. That's Engineer Kwabena Agyepong. He's a former, he was one of the flag bearer aspirants of the New Patriotic Party.